If I am allowed to be biased this week, we will preview this game.
Yeah.
But Penn State, Ohio State has real intrinsic value to me as a Penn State alum.
So this is right in front. This is not staring deep into the distance.
No, I mean, okay. It is widely assumed that the three big games in the Big Ten schedule this season are Penn State at Ohio State this weekend. A couple weeks from now, Michigan comes to State College play against Penn State. And then week 13, obviously the game. It's Ohio State at Michigan this year. Those are the three big ones. I did flirt a little bit with Illinois at Iowa just because of the very poor offensive ramifications. Just sort of from a curiosity standpoint, could the over-under in that game dip below 30? Who's to say? Who's to say? The reason that I settled on Penn State, Ohio State, though, is it's not just because of my own curiosity as a Penn State alum. I maintain, as I have since the start of the season, that Michigan is still the best team in the Big Ten. To your point, I understand we don't know a lot about them yet because they haven't played anybody.
Yeah.
Through no fault of their own. They haven't really played anybody. We don't have that data that...
I mean, they played East Carolina, Hawaii, and Bowling Green, and UNLV. Fault of their own. Continue.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You get my point. This team, it's not the player's fault. It's not JJ McCarthy's fault.
True.
He's not pushing papers and booking travel.
Yeah.
Okay. I've long maintained that Michigan is the top dog in the Big Ten. And I believe this season that Penn State and Ohio State are on that next tier. And I think it is close. So for me, this will provide some very real clarity where the Big Ten totem pole, how the Big Ten totem pole stacks up.
Yeah. Would like to point out they didn't play Hawaii this year. Just ECU, UNLV, Bowling Green. I'm mistaking my years. Continue.
So for me, not just in terms of which team ranks better than the other after this game, but it's a battle of two good defenses. It's a battle of, skill talent in different ways for Penn State as opposed to Ohio State. I think it's a very close matchup. So though it may be a bit tired of an answer here, I think it's obvious for me. It's Penn State, Ohio State, and it's this weekend at noon on Fox.
More so than Michigan, Ohio State, or Michigan, Penn State, just because you have more data to go on Ohio State, Penn State, and there are questions to be answered, right, in terms of Drew Allar, and he was big time against West Virginia and threw it 3 feet at a time without throwing an interception in a very impressive win against Iowa, which, by the way, this game and all of the different machinations of Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, it's like a quarters, semis, a right to play Iowa in the Big Ten championship game, right? It's a play-in. So this is already like a playoff quarterfinal round of 16 or something like that, if you choose to look at it through that lens.
Something like that, yeah.
Because Iowa's kind of wrapped up the West, and it's not even Halloween.
No.
So, okay, this is not a preview in this moment, but what do you think questions are the most pertinent to be answered in Penn State, Ohio State?
I think we know a lot about Ohio State at this point.
Okay.
I feel like we know a lot about Ohio State. What we don't know a lot about is Penn State. We genuinely do not. We have seen them in a few spots along the way. The West Virginia win is looking better. The Iowa win, was crazy impressive in the manner they put Iowa away. But outside of that, it's been a lot of bad teams. It's been Delaware. It's been Illinois. Northwestern, who they struggled with.
Right. They've each had those low moments of not being able to separate. They
didn't struggle at all with UMass. But I think my question is more one of style with Penn State, Ohio State. And you're right. We'll detail this when we do the Wednesday preview. I want to see if they can actually do something down the field. It's been a lot of, I mentioned this to you earlier, I'm going to start calling it the Dunkin' Donuts offense.
Sure.
Because it's a lot of the dunks, a little short passes that you're hoping to get a guy in space. And with the running game, we're just looking for a hole. Somebody's looking for a hole. If you hit the hole, you're going to go for a touchdown. But I feel like the line still has a ways to go with respect to pass and run, or I feel like the line still has a ways to go with respect to run blocking. And I'm just not sure how that fares against maybe the best team to play all year.
Yeah. Take the under. I think that's the lesson here. Yeah, I have Michigan, Ohio State just because Michigan is on that course of like having a 2-game season at this point, with Maryland's struggles since the I guess the second half started of that Ohio State matchup and then losing to Illinois. So it really is a 2-game season for Michigan. I'm still going to circle Michigan, Ohio State, because ultimately I'm going to need to see some evidence of Penn State offense against good teams down the field, whereas I've seen it from Michigan against bad teams. I've seen it from Michigan in previous seasons with this setup against good teams. And, you're going to get much more in the way of explosion when Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka, like those guys are on your team. I'm not worried about that with Ohio State. So until proven otherwise, it's still Michigan, Ohio State to me.